Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who, let's just be honest, is probably the leading correspondent and journalist covering Apple in the world, says don't look back at the quarter gone or the numbers. It's really about the long term and what Apple communicates on how it adjusts supply chains in the face of trade policy presently. What is your thesis on that?
I agree with Mark. It's really about what Apple is able to do from a manufacturing perspective, a supply chain perspective, to make sure that they are not so subjected to whatever the administration decides to do on the tariff side. We know that they are planning to shift their production to India as far as iPhones that are coming to the US, but that doesn't happen overnight. So anything that they're able to disclose, and obviously Apple always keeps their card very close to their chest on things like this, but the street needs reassurance that they have a plan. And it's the same for AI, actually.
Apple is historically the master of the bottom line, right? Profit and margins, irrespective of what's happening around the world. But it's likely, I think you and I discussed this the last time you were on the show, India long-term flying handsets out of that nation into the United States, it all costs money moving something from place A to place B. How do you see them explaining their ability to protect themselves from those costs?
There's a couple of things. One is that this is Tim Cook's bread and butter. He is an operational guy. He has been entrenched in supply chain organization for a very long time. He's also a very good diplomat. So I think that while moving supply chain and production to India is one of the core things that they can do, he's also very good at dealing with politics, whether it is at home or in China. So I think these are the other things that we'll see happening. But we also have to remember that Apple is becoming more dependent on revenue coming from services. And so we might see some give from a price perspective on the actual phones and other devices, thinking that they can recoup some of that from the services side.
Now, he might be a good diplomat, but many might feel that potentially they have dropped the ball from an AI perspective, Carolina. And I got one note land in my inbox coming over from Linked Equities, which think that Apple is struggling to stay relevant. Is that too much of an assumption to be making right now because of Siri and the lackluster rollout of Gen AI?
Look, at the end of the day, I think that what people are picking up is the fact that Apple made promises from an AI perspective and they're not delivering quite yet. That's a reality. What is a reality as well is that consumers are still not going into a store asking for something that is AI driven. And they're still very much focused on hardware when they're looking specifically at smartphones. So there is some grace when it comes to the opportunity that Apple has, but it's interesting to see the excitement around the statement that Pichai made yesterday or the day before around Gemini getting to Apple before the end of the year.
Yes, so that cross-pollination. Look, maybe that's AI winning out for Apple longer term. They don't always do it first, but my goodness, they end up doing it best in the longer term, Carolina. Do people have the bandwidth to hold on to that view?
I think so. I think that there's going to be two realities. One is that Apple and Siri and what Apple Intelligence itself is going to deliver to consumer is much more personal. But what people are really excited about now is the more general AI, and that's where Gemini, ChatGPT, and the other providers come in. And to your point, Apple does usually come in later in the market with a solution that then pleases consumers because of the way that they package it together.
You're both making historic references to BlackBerry and the smartphone market, I think. What's the one area where Apple is indisputably king?
Oh, I think it's simplicity, to be honest with you. Is the fact that at the end of the day, when talking about packaging things together, that when they deliver it to consumer, the simplicity they use to deliver that solution is what is enticing consumers to stay where they are. And the other one is obviously marketing.